everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would pop in real quick and do a brief, short little video talking about Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter is about to go into Aries on May the 10th, and we've had Jupiter in Pisces for a little over a year now. And anytime a major planet goes into a new sign, it denotes big changes, big shifts in all of our lives, and also big changes on the global scale, especially when it comes to Jupiter. So I wanted to do a quick little tarot reading, as well as discussing what Jupiter in Aries means for all of us. So let's get on into it. As you can see, I've already pulled some cards. The cards that came out during the shuffle is the Vision Quest, the Drum, the Journey, and the Jaguar, which the tarot never ceases to amaze me, actually, because even if you don't know anything about astrology, this is pretty interesting how much these cards coincide with very Jupiterian and very Aries energy. So let's talk about Jupiter first before we discuss what the spirit guides wanted us to know about what this transit's going to mean for all of us on a societal scale. Now, Jupiter in general represents kind of a more collective energy. It represents a more societal energy. It is the only of the fire signs that is representing more of a collective scale energy than just an individual energy. And the reason for that is it has to do with how charts are set up, and Jupiter is ruled by Sagittarius naturally. Sagittarius rules the 9th house, which represents the 9th house in anybody's birth chart. Represents external beliefs and beliefs that are held more on a collective scale. It represents external beliefs. That's why people say it represents religion, it represents philosophy, it represents beliefs held by groups of people that we hold in our individual lives. So Jupiter representing beliefs on a societal scale means that whatever sign Jupiter is in represents I want to say the spirit of the era of what we are in and what we are going into. What Jupiter has been in for the past year, I'd have to look to tell you the exact dates to tell you when Jupiter changed before, but Jupiter has been in Pisces for just about a year, and Jupiter in Pisces represents expansion of spirituality, expansion of subconscious beliefs, and that has been the energy we've been in. But we're going to see a big shift now on a societal scale. So let's talk about this. Jupiter in general is like an amplifier. That's how I always view Jupiter. It is an amplifier of whatever it touches. So if it's conjoining a planet, if it's in a certain sign, it takes it and it expands it. It doesn't really alter the frequency of that sign or the energy. It just makes it bigger, it makes it boomier, and it makes it more easy to be seen and more easy to be heard. And especially to be heard because Jupiter is a mutable sign. It's naturally a mutable planet, meaning it's changeable. So its goal is to change things, is to shift energy, it's not necessarily to contort it, but it's to shift things in society, and it does that by making things louder. So what Jupiter is going to be doing is it's going to be making everything that represents Aries energy louder, and that does include all my people out there that have a lot of Aries in their chart, whether it's Aries Sun, Aries Moon, Aries Rising, and yes, that also means first house people. So anybody that represents strong Aries or has very strong Mars, or say even stellium in Aries in their birth chart, and especially my North Node in Aries people, because that's going to be magnifying your life purpose right now. So what is Aries energy all about? Aries is considered the pioneer of the zodiac. They like to get things first. Get to things first. They are not afraid to jump in and show the way and forge a new path where nobody else has forged a path before. They are the most independent out of all of the zodiac signs. They rule over identity. It is considered a masculine sign, and it is a fire energy sign. Having Jupiter in Aries, when Jupiter is naturally already a fire sign, ruled naturally by fire, is going to be a double amplification of the fire energy in the spirit of our era. So anytime that Jupiter changes signs, it changes kind of the spirit of the era that we are in, just a little bit. It makes belief systems that aren't normally heard a little bit louder because, like I said, Jupiter is an amplifier. So think of it this way. What the conscious beliefs are that are going to be louder in all of our societies around the world are ones that are going to have to do with Aries type of things. So what's going to get louder? People are naturally all going to become a little bit more in alignment with their masculine energy, a little bit more about being dominant, and a little bit more about being aggressive, because Aries is ruled by Mars, and Aries is very forthright. That can be a good thing, and it can also be a bit of a flaw, because they do have a tendency, all Aries energy has a tendency to leap before looking, to just jump in and just go for it. And what's that expression? They like to, they would rather make apologies than have to ask for permission, pretty much. That they would rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. That's the expression. And of course, not all Aries are that way, but we're just talking about raw Aries energy, and Jupiter is going to amplify not just the good of a sign, but also the bad of a sign. Now, Aries is always represented by the god Aries, which is the god of war. So there might be a lot more conflict possibly coming up in the world, and also coming up in our personal lives, because it's coming up in all of our spirits and our souls for all of us with Jupiter and Aries. It's going to make us more forthright and more determined to stand up for all of our individual rights, because that is what Aries represents. It represents individual rights. So wherever you feel like that might be threatened or challenged, or where you feel like someone is trying to put an infringement upon your expression of your identity, your expression of your truth, that is going to be something that everyone's going to not really want to hold back on, and everyone's going to be willing to, as the expression says, go to the mattresses about that, which really just means, they're willing to, you're not going to want to hold back on tempering your anger, which might be a little bit of a problem, especially as we have more of the inner planets moving into Aries as we progress along throughout the year. But with that said, I want you to think of it as this, in short, that Jupiter in Aries is all about the amplification of the good aspects of Aries and the bad aspects of Aries. So let's talk briefly about the good, and then let's talk a little bit about the bad and what that will mean for society, and then also what that will mean for you in your life. So the good aspects is it's going to make you, and this actually coincides with the cards, so we're going to use the cards now, jumping right into the card reading as well. It's going to make you take the adventure of your life. It's going to make it so that you no longer want to hold yourself back. Anything that has been holding you back in the past, that has been hindering the truth of your identity, the truth of what you really want in this world, the truth of your manifestations, you are not going to be held back by that anymore. and it's going to come from the power and strength within you, because the universe is now backing you up in your power of individuation. So now is the time that you are going to be going on the journey and the quest for the authentic self and the expression of that in the outer world. So a lot of things might be coming up that might be challenging your identity in order to force you to discover who you really are, because Jupiter always takes us on a quest, no matter what sign it's in. It explores by expanding things. That's why it likes to change things up, and why it's known as the explorer. I view it as kind of like a wildfire, because it's a fire sign. It's fire that moves. It's fire that explores everything around it. And of course, we're not talking about that literally, because, wildfire is not necessarily a good thing, but you get it as an analogy. And so it's going to be exploring Aries, which is exploring individuality, which means for you, you're going to be exploring who you really are and who you came to this earth to be. You're going to be exploring the power and the strength that comes within you, which is what the jaguar represents. It represents your inner strength that has been hiding within you. It represents your inner power that is forceful, that is strong, that is more of that don't mess with me kind of energy. It's that part of you that is willing to stand up and fight for what you believe is true, what you believe is right. And the reason for that is because you are going to have a clear understanding of who it is you are meant to be at your core, and you're going to have a clearer understanding of your true value. So it's going to begin within us all on an individual level, with perhaps some trigger points to what it is that we identify with, because Aries energy represents identity, and considering Aries also represents the god of war, how it represents both is that we learn who we are by having who we are challenged, because that's where we learn what we're really made of, is when we have to really assert ourselves on the world, not just by keeping it all talk. Aries energy in general, it would not be considered all talk and no muscle behind it. A lot of the time it's all muscle and all kind of thought later. Of course, if you have this in your birth chart, keep in mind this is not a birth chart reading. This is just talking about transit energy. This can all be tempered and individual according to other signs in the astrology. But Aries energy in general is about standing up for your right to existence, and having Jupiter in Aries is about standing up for your right for the existence of your beliefs in the outer world, in the collective. And we're going to see a major expansion of that in the outer world, in societies, because, as I said, that we're going to have this individual growth. You're going to have this individual growth from Jupiter and Aries coming through by challenging you in the outer world, which is going to shift your identity on the inner world and make you more firm and more open and more assertive in who you are, and more willing to assert your beliefs about yourself and about your personal rights and your personal individuality in the outer world with more boldness. So, on a collective scale, with the drum and the jaguar, I believe that you're going to see everything we've just talked about being played out in the outer scale as well. You might see situations where everything becomes a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more faster paced, faster moving. You're going to see people and institutions and things in the outer world being more forthright, more in your face, a little bit more aggressive, But what Spirit is saying with the Jaguar is you're not going to see how much force. You're not going to see the amount of force that society and the structures of society are going to be coming at you with. You're not going to see that up front. It's actually going to be a little bit more hidden in the shadows. And then as Jupiter progresses through the degrees, it's going to become stronger and stronger. Because this Jaguar, as you can see, I'm going to grab this and zoom in a little bit for you, if you can see that. He's kind of blending in to the darkness of the night, and all you can see is his piercing eyes. And that's, but you can see that he's moving out into the light. And so this is kind of what Jupiter energy on a societal scale is going to be representing, is that all of these things that have been hidden and underneath and maybe been slowly lurking towards us. This is sounding a little creepy, sorry you guys, but it's what's coming through. What's been slowly lurking towards us is slowly going to be pushed out into the light, and we're going to see more and more and more clearly the reality of maybe things that might be a threat to us, and might be a threat to our individuality, and or the expression thereof, because that is Aries energy. That's why I keep mentioning that. And that's going to cause, it's going to cause, I would say, quite maybe a stirring within a lot of our structures, a lot of our foundational structures, as it starts to progress through the degrees and starts to make aspects to Saturn, which will be later on during the year. But we're not talking about all of that right now. We're just talking about the primary energy. So as these things start to move out of the darkness into the light, it's also going to bring parts of yourself that you have kept in the darkness. Like, for instance, the spirit guides are giving me the energy of the solar plexus, the energy of your inner power that is going to be coming out of the darkness and into the light, and forcing you to assert yourself in the world, and to assert your beliefs in the world, and to stand up for your beliefs in the world. Whatever that might be. It might even be just tiny things, of course. I don't want people to think I'm trying to freak anybody out here, so it's just, that's Aries energy. Mars energy in general is ruled by the Tower card, and so Aries energy tends to shake things up more than average, and having Jupiter there, of course, will amplify that energy in the society around us, and it will shake up the toxic belief systems around us. That's really what it's doing, is Jupiter is now going to be bringing to light the toxic belief systems that we have all been holding on to, that have been detrimental to our individual souls, and force us to, they're saying with the drum, force us to stand up and fight. They're saying that the fight actually comes first within ourselves and then into the outer world, that we're going to be, and then they're saying vice versa, but then when we start fighting in the outer world, it's actually our internal self that we are actually fighting to change. So all of this is really a shift within our collective and individual identities of what we truthfully believe is right. And it's like a clearing away of the toxic belief systems that maybe we couldn't see while Jupiter was in Pisces. And I also want to say that Jupiter in Aries represents a new beginning. It represents a starting over. And since it's Jupiter, a starting over of belief systems. So by the end of this transit, you might find that everything you have once believed has become very disheveled, is actually the word Spirit just gave me. That it's going to dishevel our beliefs about the external world. And is going to be kind of a clearing away, because it's going to bring to light all of the toxicity of old belief systems, and it's also going to bring to light a bunch of new belief systems that we had never even imagined before. Because remember, Jupiter in Aries, or Aries energy, is the pioneer. Therefore, similar to Aquarius energy, it is innovative. It is the one who forges a new path, and it is the first. So it represents a new beginning of something. And so therefore we might see a lot of new beliefs that come out of nowhere. You might be the one who channels these new belief systems that are meant to be brought down to the earth. And I believe that that's what Spirit is wanting to say, is that that we need to keep in mind as we go through this transit, that it's about the journey, and that this is about the journey of the self and the journey of the self asserting itself in the outer world. And what I'm hearing is the journey, what they're saying is that this is the assertion of the self in the outer world. And what the self is saying is that I do belong, is what I'm hearing. That perhaps all these toxic belief structures made us all feel a little bit suppressed, bound down, telling us that for some reason we as individuals and that we don't belong in certain structures. And this is us all going to be standing up, even in our own personal lives, asserting ourselves, saying this is where I do belong, and having more bravery, more courage to take the journey of our life, that we will be able to dare to dream bigger, to dare to choose new things for ourselves, to dare to have new belief systems, to dare to even invent new belief systems. And it's all going to be coming from a place of the heart, is what they're saying. Fire energy always resonates from our core, from our heart, because that's where the heat of the body comes from, and the body represents the spirit. And so you have to make sure that you are in alignment through this transit. Keep in mind, everything must resonate directly back to the heart, and to not get too caught up, what they're saying, in the beating of the drums and the beating of the battle drums. Whether that's in your personal lives, we're all going to definitely probably be triggered by people in our personal lives, whether that's work situations, whether that's family situations, whether that's, even just friendship or even just dating situations. They're saying that it's going to be like a beating of a battle drum in our lives that is going to be shocking us a lot, trying to get us to see the light of all the belief systems and how they've been playing out in our individual lives, and what is working and what isn't working, and forcing us to choose that which we that which we truly align with our individual self, with our true authentic self. So this is going to be a little bit of a drawing of a line for each one of us. And we might find that maybe some of our family or our friends we don't align with anymore, because we're too far apart in our belief systems and too far apart in our expression of individuality. And that they won't accept you or us for the individual, that they won't accept you for the expression and the assertion of your individual belief and the individual that you are in the outer world. And therefore it's going to lead to this little bit of a division or possibly turmoil, and it's going to feel like that beating of that battle drum in our lives that is going to be kind of heard. It's going to be hard to ignore, which is interesting that as I was about to say that, somebody's car alarm just went off in my neighborhood, which I think is Spirit confirming that we're not going to be able to ignore this, but to not be sidetracked and to not be led off kilter by that beating of the battle drum, because that battle drum is going to be heard by everybody in everybody's individual lives and also on a collective scale, but it is meant to be heard to force us to assert ourselves and to force us to choose the correct alignment that with where we truly belong in this world. And they want to finish by saying, coming back to where we began, which is the vision quest. And what they want to say with the vision quest is that Jupiter is all about the expression and the expansion of life. And I feel like it's just so interesting that these are the cards that came out when I was shuffling. Because this is such Sagittarius Jupiter energy. If you look closely, it is someone not just on the quest of life, but embracing every aspect of life. The good, the bad, the dark, the ugly, the beautiful, the harsh, the raw, the painful, the pleasurable, the exciting, like every little aspect of life. That's what Sagittarius, that's what Jupiter energy represents. It represents the embracing and the exploration of all facets of life. The light, the dark, the good, the bad, the everything blended in between. And the embracing of everything that makes life life. And what Spirit is saying is to be open to the quest, because the quest will expand your vision. And that is what I don't know why I keep saying Sagittarius. Jupiter just is naturally ruled by Sagittarius. But that is what Jupiter really represents, is the quest for vision, the quest for true sight, for truth, actually. It represents the quest for truth, for your personal truth and for collective truth. And that comes from being bold and from being daring and not being afraid to explore all aspects of life by being open. You can see this within this picture. Her arms are wide open, and she's dancing too. She's staying completely wide open to life and all that it has to offer. And what I'm hearing is to be willing to dance in the messiness of life, because that's what I feel like this girl is doing, this person is doing, is she has her heart completely open, and she's open to life and the world, and everything that life throws at her, she's embracing. She's not deflecting. She's not closing off herself from her world, from the world around her. She is opening herself up to see, saying, what I'm hearing actually in my head is that I want to see it all. And that's the energy of Jupiter. It's saying, I want to see it all. I want to see the light, the dark, the good, the bad, because that's going to give me true vision of what life really is, and what truth is, and what it is that I should rightfully embrace in this life. And they're saying that this is going to be actually a beautiful transit, because it's going to light all of us up, and it's going to light up all of our hearts again. Where maybe we've gone through a period of feeling very disimpassioned, passion is coming back online. And that means all of our hearts are coming back online. And it's going to be something that is going to be felt and heard, I'm hearing, all around the world. And all of our individual hearts are actually going to be the ones leading the way with all of this, because it's Aries and it represents the individual moving the belief systems forward. So with all that said, I hope that was helpful and gave you some good insights on what to expect with this Jupiter and Aries transit. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give me a like, because that helps my channel to grow. And please comment below your thoughts, and your zodiac signs, because I really love to hear about your thoughts and if you had any insights as you were listening to this. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and ring the bell if you haven't done that yet, because that will give you notifications about every time I upload more videos like this. As well as I do pick cards and other astrology readings, and I also will soon start to post meditations to help you tap into the correct alignment of energies. But with all that said, I really enjoyed reading for you today, and I hope to see you in the future. Bye!